Oh my gosh, you guys, welcome to season 4 of the Walk With Me podcast. I can't believe that I am doing this today. I can't believe we're filming the first episode of season 4 because that means so many things. If you listen to season 1, then you know I recorded that in a season of my life where I was preparing to have our second baby girl, Autumn. And the theme that really filtered throughout that entire season was this desire to get ahead of the game, create structures that could hold me to really slow down in my business, simplify my life, create the space to have a baby, and to thrive during that time. So that season's going to be a little bit different than this season, because we were filming episodes months in advance and banging out episodes that could drip out while I was on maternity leave. This season, we are going to do things differently because I'm in a different season of life, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then we did season 2, which was a really short and sweet season that was focused on helping people who want to become a life coach get their basic questions answered and get them going and confident and ready. Season 3 was so fun. We turned our annual holiday challenge into a podcast that you can access and listen to every holiday season in the future with daily action steps and beautiful rituals to support the holiday season. And now here we are on the other side of that year in a new year together. It's pretty interesting. We'll see how filming this episode goes. As you know, we don't film this in a studio. We don't have crazy production quality. It's all about being messy, real, and raw. And as I just walked outside, it is actually starting to drizzle and rain, but it's warm. It's warm and the birds are chirping, and it means that spring is coming. And so it means you and I get to be outdoors. We get to walk. We get to talk. We get to address what's real and true together in our lives. And this season, what's really present for me is all about emergence and impact. It's about the ability to be in the fertile void. It's about the ability to see what's happening right here and now and lead from that place. So when I break it down, what that really means, it's about getting into the juiciness of our daily lives and not living for growth only. Not living to just achieve goals, but really living to enjoy the process and to pull our inspiration and our resourcefulness from what's right in front of us. And I think that that is really different than what we're taught to do in our culture. And it's also really different than what we're taught to measure success by in our business and in our personal lives. And I want to talk a lot about that this season. And I want to start by sharing some updates with you today. What I found from interviewing lots of people from the podcast and seasons before is that you love learning the new skills, coaching techniques and things, but what's most interesting is to find how those are being implemented and how people use them on a day-to-day basis. Specifically, how I'm integrating and using these things. So I want to talk with you about where I'm at and some of the things that you can expect this season. And next week, we're going to get right into it. So what just happened is a perfect example of emergence. I have these beautiful structures in place, these intentions, this vision that the Walk With Me podcast is time for us to walk together. It's accountability and encouragement to get outside in nature and to move our bodies and to have intimate conversations about real life things that are happening and real life tools and support systems, new beliefs, thoughts, structures that we can put in place to support ourselves in really becoming a leader in our personal lives and in our communities through our business, and creating time and location freedom, breaking free from the structures that are taught to us in the patriarchy and creating really sustainable, feminine, powerful, beautiful ways of achieving and dreaming and having what we want. And the goal is to get outside, which I just did. And then it started pouring raining as I was talking. So I came into my house and the thought was, well, I need to wait until I can walk. But what's true is I don't have to do anything. I get to do what I want, and I get to feel in the moment to what is true. And what's true is I started this conversation. I'm passionate about finishing it, so I'm going to do it on my medicine ball in my house right here with you right now. And it's a great way to start off the season too, because you might not always be able to be walking, and that's perfect. You can still listen if you're not walking. It's a great check-in point though, right? To see, are we moving our bodies? Are we taking care of our nervous system? Are we prioritizing our self-care over all other things? That's what I hope this podcast to encourage you to do, to encourage you to check in on whether you're doing it, and to give you the resources to do. So I want to start this season off by asking you, what is the impact that you want to have in your life? Let's talk about this spring and this summer, as that's going to be the season this podcast takes us through. And just start to feel into that. Impact means, what do you want to come into connection with? What do you want to call into your space, magnetize to you? What do you want to bump up against? What do you want to feel and experience, touch, and connect with? And I'm doing some work on this with my own coach who I've hired this year, working in a group coaching program around this exact thing and the idea of emergent leadership. So my second question for you as we start this season off is, what does emergence look like for you? Meaning, what does it look like for you to be present in the moment, to source inspiration from your intuition? How aware and attuned are you to looking around in your life and seeing what the signs and the signals are from your experiences, from the language that the universe speaks to you, from your soul whispering, from your family and friends, and from your work? Are you willing to pay attention to what is being put in front of you and why, and what it's asking of you? For me, in literally just the last 2 to 3 weeks, so much has changed because of asking myself these questions early on in the year. And so much of what I created in my impact desire, in getting clear about what that was, and for me, my impact desire is that by delegating and inviting support and activating communication with the divine and through collaboration, I will innovate an entirely new way of being that will magnetize breakthroughs in my life and my business. It's about moving from I to we, and that's on behalf of a movement that I want to continue with, further initiate, where women stop the hard, holding it all, powering through alone, and start feeling ecstatic and supported to live on purpose. And I have been really looking at what were my current ways of being that were keeping me in not having and being able to have the impact that I want. And that current way of being, I gave her an archetype. And so what she looks like is she is the way of the sprinting warrior queen who jumps to solo, immediate, protective action. And what that kind of looked like for me, and in the moment, the parts of me that are still activating and walking in this current way, is this belief that every challenge or opportunity has to be dealt with and solved immediately. It's coming from this belief that I have to protect myself and my loved ones, and this idea that there's no time to sit and wait, and there's no one else who can help me or help us, and that I must have the answer, and I must move quick, and I must do what I can to ward off immediate danger. That's where that way of being really resonates and comes up. And the other part of that way of being, again, that I'm still working with and honoring, but also moving to new patterns from, was that this belief of, if I pause or if I ask for support, there's room for error, or it's going to take too long and everything will come crashing down. So I have to know how to respond to pressure. I have to hold it all and survive at all costs. So why would I complicate things by bringing more people in on my plan or waiting for other people to figure out how to help me? And once I have created the plan, then I'll delegate and I'll receive support and I'll put structures in place. So what's funny is season 1 of the podcast was really created actually from a lot of that way of being. And I'll tell you, the positive impact that it had was that I was able to get a lot done in a short period of time and secure space for myself later with my vision to be safe in going into labor, to be safe in having a spacious maternity leave, to be safe in not knowing what my business was going to look like or how I would want to work after the change of becoming a mother of 2. And so that's one of the big things I've been through since we last connected here on the podcast. I went into labor and I learned so much during the end of my pregnancy and my labor story that I'm going to share the full details of that story and some unsolicited advice for any of those of you who care about what I learned about body autonomy and self-advocacy and our medical systems and how important it is to trust our mama bear intuition and the ways that I did well with that and the ways that I failed that have changed me as a woman and a mother forever. So I'll be sharing my labor story this season. I also want to share with you what happened to my daughter in her first months of life that were really taught me about holistic care, again, self-advocacy, trusting your intuition, and being able to do hard things. I learned some beautiful lessons from helping her to heal from some really annoying challenges that our medical system does not support us in figuring out with babies, specifically when they label a baby colic or reflux, and doing elimination diets and breastfeeding and all those things. And even if you're not a mom or you're not interested in stories about labor or birth or babies, a lot of the lessons from this will be relevant for your business because the same things come up, and a lot of these lessons will be relevant for you in your personal health and in your personal leadership wherever you're at, especially if you are a trailblazer and you are wanting to own a business and you are a coach. These two things have really reestablished my passion for getting good life coach training, and that literally every human should have it because it teaches us to ask powerful questions. It teaches us to be aware of belief systems. It teaches us to be resourceful in redefining patterns and being able to have breakthroughs that normal people who are not looking into this kind of training, study, altering viewpoints, don't understand and therefore don't know how to break through these positions of authority that are put in our cultures and our systems that keep us playing small. And that leads me to something recently that's happened. I have become an activist, and I want to talk a bit about this season. I've started voicing and talking about something controversial publicly that until now, the last 5 years, I've been researching, educating myself on, connecting with other people who share this education and understanding about body autonomy and making choices for our children. And it enters into the controversial topic of vaccines and the way people are labeled pro-vaccine or anti-vaxxers. And the most important thing I've learned that when we label people and we have different viewpoints is that when we don't talk about things, then we can be controlled. We can be controlled by structures and people outside of our lives. We have to be brave enough to tell our story. We have to be brave enough to educate each other, to talk about things where we don't have all equal viewpoints, respect each other's viewpoints, not go into a place of fear or shame or guilt because of the choices we make or because of what we believe, but instead be able to have the nuanced conversation and then look at what our country's leadership, government, politics are making decisions around and have a say and a voice in those. But if we're too angry or we're too frustrated or overwhelmed or fearful to talk with each other, then we have zero control and then we can be controlled. And right now in states across the United States and even around the country, our rights to have freedom to decide what we do with our bodies and what we do with our children's health choices and the ways in which we have access to education that the government or some doctors are not making available to us so that we have informed consent is being taken away. And I want to talk more about advocacy and activism and the new importance I have, the new recognition I have of how important it is that we have a voice and how important it is that we understand how things work. I'm new to politics. I've never been interested. I've always had the story that politics and activism is for people who I felt like I couldn't handle it. Like it's too much. I'm an all-in kind of person. It's too heartbreaking. My voice won't make a difference anyway because politicians have control. They don't listen to us. I thought that my vote didn't really matter. I thought that my life was too overwhelming to be able to take on the way I knew I would want to take it on, and that has all changed. I am involved. I'm learning crazy, amazing things. I'm getting really intimate with my community. I'm using my leadership skills and everything I've learned, teaching women how to be feminine in self-care and make a difference in their world and their lives. I'm using those skills to become an activist in my community, and I will kill this bill that's trying to be passed in Connecticut. So I want to talk to you and guide you more also because I want to make sure we're encouraging each other not to just stop at this idea of having more followers on our Instagram and making more money in our businesses. But if you're training to be a coach and you are a trailblazer, you must be telling your story and you must be using those skills, your God-given skills, to make a difference in the world. And I want to get us all to the point where we feel like we have the capacity and the ability and the support to start doing that. And so I'd like to pass on a lot of what I'm learning as I'm using my voice, not just for having a great life in my personal life and running a multi-six-figure business, but also starting to actually have an impact on our culture, on our society, on the laws that are being made, and on the people who are being voted into our leadership and why. So that's going to be coming up on this season. And a lot of the past ways, the current way of being, let's call it that, because the point is not to judge your current way of being. It's to see what way you operate in the world and look at what other ways do you need to begin and other patterns and other parts of yourself do you need to bring forward in order to have the impact you're moving toward. And if you're not already having that impact in the world, if you're not already walking that way in the world, then there's something from holding you back. And when you start to discern and decide what that is, you can celebrate what that way of being has allowed for. So for me, this sprinting warrior queen who jumps to solo immediate action, what that has allowed for is self-confidence and self-responsibility and quick results and driven action and expert delegation and healing first level of resistance and wounding around receptivity, to learn to allow people to support me, to give things away, to ask for things. Healing that first level of moving out of the lone warrior mindset and into the belief system that supports me and that's available to me, knowing that I can be in sisterhood, that I can achieve big things with my team, that I can lean on my husband and my family to help me move towards some of these goals. It's allowed for me to be part of the doing and therefore not doing it all, just being a part of the doing and delegating to others. It's allowed me space for more to get done. But there's a lot that this way of being has closed down. It's closed down exploration and curiosity of other ways as all the attention goes toward making things happen. And it's closed down, when things become hard or challenging, it made me feel as though I've lost support, and it threatens the belief that I can ultimately create whatever I want, that I can slow down and enjoy the moment. It closes off exploration and trust and gets me into these dark, unpredictable, and unknown places where my joy can be stifled. And this high degree of responsibility has me feel like everything is up to me. And the new way of being that you are going to witness and are witnessing and that is happening is stepping into a more collaborative and visionary artist kind of Jay. It's about allowing myself the space to innovate and to be in emergence with my life and to truly enjoy the luxury and the ecstatic that's happening in the moment, whether what I'm facing is challenging or hard, or whether what I'm facing is juicy and pleasant. The whole point is to be able to fully experience it. And this new way of being is about relaxing into the magic and the gifts and talents of those around me, knowing that I can meet what is with greater awareness and collaborate solutions with a wiser counsel, that I'm able to rest with confidence and allow spaciousness for living and an incubation stage in my business where I can get playful with the new ideas that are coming through. I can experience a year in my business that's not all about growth and financial gain, and instead is about strong foundations, witnessing and updating who I am and what my work is, and allowing that next level thing to come through, not from force, but from a place of actually having more intention and making more impact and being really discerning about what I create and why. This is going to allow me to remember that I am an interconnected part of the whole, and that I'm not solely responsible for creating joy and safety in this world, but instead I'm a part of what is already there. And this being that's coming through me, this new way of being that I'm leaning into even more, allows for curiosity and exploration of new possible ways to be of service with the support of a genius team. It allows greater ability to enjoy the pleasures of life by moving into action without holding responsibility for it all. And it allows me to discover through exploration, and giving more time lends itself to new connections and intimate partnerships and unexplored ways of being in my everyday life. And what's right here is what's going to inform my movement. And I'm going to be able to experience the joy in the moment and be able to stay calm and buoyant and trusting, and to be able to be at ease and in the mystery and the magic and the support of mother energy, and unlimited access to different solutions and ways of expressing myself through my work instead of doing the same old things I've been doing for years. And this new way of being is already allowing me to relate to the unknown as a place of intimacy and connection, being able to be held and light and present, and to be in the joy of collaboration. And what I really know about collaboration is it is the next era of leadership. We can no longer lead in these lone warrior ways. We must look to each other and come together with a wide variety of viewpoints and an intense ability to bring our gifts and talents together to thrive. And there's a few key capabilities that I'm focusing on developing. And I want to be better able to face challenges without jumping into action from a place of fear. Instead, I'm going to get curious about what support's available and what answers exist beyond my own awareness, and opening up to collaboration. And I'm telling you all of this because this is what you can expect. These are the kind of resources, the kind of conversations, the kind of experts I want to bring to this walk that we're going to have this season every week in our episodes. I want to talk about how we can learn to trust being involved in creation of big and powerful things. I want to learn to embody the ability to collaborate, because I believe this is truly the only way to break through my current ability to be of service, grow my income, and experience the life I want, both with my family and leaving my legacy. And I want to have more intimacy with others in my life and trust their gifts and talents as an asset that will help us to work together toward really rewarding and enlivening solutions that are sustainable and in the highest good for all. I really want to experience a greater trust in and feel supported by things that are greater than me, both the unseen energies of our universe and my guides and my purpose here, as well as the relationships and structures that hold me. I want us to have some really great conversations this season about time how we relate to it, and structure, and how those things support our state of being and what we're able to create and sustain within them. This is so that I can tap back into the magic of the universe that I once felt very enlivened and supported by, and that I'm starting to again. I want to have some awesome conversations with you about the signs I've been receiving and about the language that the universe speaks that guides us. We're going to do a whole episode about that this year. And I want to feel less stress and anxiety and tensity in my nervous system when I'm innovating. I want to use my voice in really powerful ways. I want to expand my capacity and create something new. I'm going to be able to be in the process of creation without needing to jump to the end goal and completion, so that I can be ecstatic in the experience rather than just rushing to try to get to the end goal. And this is all so that I can take back my voice, get clear on what my brand is, begin to create next level offerings in my business, and expand my reach, which I can feel will happen. And I really want to allow myself to be in an incubation stage, to trust that we have stages of our business that we're not taught in our culture. And not every stage of our business is about exponential and financial growth. We have many different stages and times in our lives and seasons that we need to honor. And this podcast is going to track those seasons for me. So I've got some practices that I've put in place. I'll talk with you about them if these themes are resonating with you. They are mindfulness practices, embodiment practices, emergence practices. And the key outcomes that I hope to get to celebrate with you by the end of this season are: 1, allowing, honoring, and mastering incubation, creation, and innovation in my personal life and business. 2, I specifically want to see something very tangible change in my normal daily routine and how isolated I can get in our home. And I want to have created a new way of connecting with and spending time with Brent and the girls. And I want to kill Bill 5044 and continue to remain active and involved in my local community and my state and my country. And the third big thing I hope we all get to witness me experience this season is I do not want to launch something in my business just for the point of growth or financial gain. I want to be able to hold my team and my current income, as I'm doing already, with a slow, spacious ease, while I'm allowing myself to create the next big thing. And I want to know where to focus and what to continue creating while I'm in that process. And so you're going to hear about how I've been doing that already, how these 3 goals are coming across, the resources and things I'm using. So if you are interested in allowing yourself to be in incubation and creation and innovation, and you want to know more about those things, if you want to up-level your daily routine and your connection and your supportedness in your home and in your business, we're going to talk about that. You want to hear about activism and get to your next level capacity to make a difference in your world, we're going to talk about that. I really want to attend to the mystery, and I'm going to offer you some questions. I've asked you already, what is the impact that you want to have? And what is the current way of being for you? And as you start to think about that and process that, maybe your new way of being will emerge too. And then we get to feel into this. What's currently unknown and mysterious? We get to start this season off in that mystery together. And what helps you to trust in and work with what's unknown? And what are some considerations or approaches that can support forward momentum and action even when some pieces are mysterious or not coming together? What beautiful questions for us to play with and nurture and relax in this season. It helps me to know that we have this container and this place to show up to, that we can do emotional check-ins and say, how are you doing? What are you feeling? Pausing together to track what emotions are arising as you're doing the work you're doing in your life. I want to ask you, what's challenged or activated in you? There's so much that I'm excited to explore with you. So today, let's begin this season. Let's begin this moment by just checking in with yourself. What's the impact that you want to have? What's the current way of being in your life that has gotten you to this point that you can celebrate, but is not going to get you where you're going next? What is emerging in you? What's that unknown mystery, that current thing that's unknown, that you really trust in and work with what's unknown? And what are some considerations and approaches that you can support forward momentum and action with, even when we don't know exactly what's going to happen? So here we are. Welcome to season 2 of the podcast. Welcome to these initiatory questions that will help you to be in the mystery, in the light of impact and innovation, and start to give you the vision to cultivate what some of the outcomes are that you want to have this season as we walk together. It's so exciting to be bringing in the spring. I can't believe we're here. There's so many stories to catch up on and so much to share. One of the other things that happened recently that I just want to tell you before we close our walk today is that I led a retreat in Sonoma, California for a group of women clients who I worked with in my signature life coach training program, Mentor Masterclass, who then decided to come retreat with me in person at the Captivating Feminine Leadership Retreat. It's a retreat I've been running for almost 7 years now, and this year was the first time we went out on location. My family, my husband, my 2 daughters, and my mother-in-law came with me and stayed. I was able to lead the retreat, take pauses to nurse my baby, be with my husband, receive the support of my husband and my mother-in-law, which took some asking for, and integrate the healer that I am, the coach that I am, the leader that I am, the mother that I am, the wife that I am, the daughter that I am, all in one. And it was such a healing experience to have my daughter be there with my clients, and so much beautiful stories about that I want to share with you, because the other thing I've recognized about the change that I'm meant to make here is to prove that we can have a holistic approach to our life. We can be spiritual and masculine and feminine and human, and we can be mothers and badass CEOs and wives and independent feminine leaders. We can integrate all of those parts. And I not only talked about that, I did it. And the integration taught me some really beautiful things, and taught a lot of the women that were on that retreat some beautiful things too that I'll share in a future episode as well. So for now, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast on your favorite platform. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Play, we're on YouTube. Subscribe so you get the updates of our episode. They're going to come out every week. What's cool is this year we're not going to be filming out too far in advance. I'll only be a couple weeks ahead with each episode, so it's going to be fresh and present and real, and there'll be emerging conversations and things that happen that come from my own mystery over here that I know will be meant to come up for you if you're going to be a devoted weekly listener. Every Wednesday, you get out, you walk with me, and we talk about these things. And also make sure you are subscribed at JanineYoder.com. And if you haven't yet, and you are interested in seeing how it feels to work with me on your coaching business, you can take the self-discovery week at mentormasterclass.com to get a little more connected and to get updates on that program. And be on the lookout, because who knows, I'm not sure if it'll happen this year, but something new and big is moving through me. I've got some ideas, got some programs coming up for alumni that have worked with me before, and maybe something new for you. So just be paying attention to that, and we'll see what happens as it flows. I look forward to having the opportunity to walk beside you with this podcast and this new season. And I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me an email with some of the answers to the questions I asked you today about the impact you want to make, your current way of being, and your relationship to the mystery. Let's keep the conversation going, and let's get excited for the sunshine to bring in new light, new understanding, grounded clarity, and connection with each other along the way. Thanks for being here. Can't wait to get started. and continue this conversation next week in our official second episode of season 4.